Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former world champion Zerg in the blue, the Italian stallion. It's Reynor, facing off against one of the most infamous Terrans. In the red, we have the Porcupine. It's Spirit in a best-of-3 Terran versus Zerg tournament showdown, part of Wardi's 2025 championships. Before we get started, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me kind of the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,761 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life, but thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Then Reynor, who, he doesn't know it yet, but Spirit has gone out of his way, or I guess in his way, to block the third base. The Natchery is mining happily, the Reaper not poking and prodding like it usually would. But the SCV is standing by the third, the Reaper is covering the alternative option, and the base on the outside is so far out there it's kind of unrealistic to expect it. So Spirit, in the spirit of incredibly annoying Terran early game options, has done whatever he could to make sure that Reynor doesn't get a quick third. And Reynor, I think, okay, alright, okay, we get it. The Queen's going to try to shoo it away for now, and we'll back off just a few steps. At least for the Reaper. A few more for the Queen. In fact, the Reaper doesn't take any steps at all. It just mocks the Queen by flying in some capacity. Typical. But the creep spread will begin, and Reynor, I think, just letting Spirit have this kind of small physical and emotional victory. And instead, we'll be rushing up the tech tree with a lair already on the way. He continued mining gas. I think he saw that first SCV and kind of decided that's where his build was going. Manages to sneak it out, but the Reaper gets in, spots the lair, but now caught between a Queen and a Queen place and put down by the Zergling. But despite the vengeful nature of the Queens and Langs, they did not do the most important thing, which is deny the scout of the lair early on. It very well could be Mutas as a second gas and a third already in production. Now, with the newest patch, and by new, I mean a couple months old, actually like 3 months old at this point, which is, you know, in StarCraft terms, a pretty young one. The Spire is now 5 seconds quicker, 71 to 66, and 50-50 less, so a couple Banelings. It's not a lot. It's, in fact, quite little, but having that little bit of an edge could make all the difference. And the threat of it is also very important for the Terrans to consider. Of course, none of that is happening because Reynor built a Hydralisk den. Could we see a lair tech lurker rush? Of course, getting Hydras out is never a bad idea. It's just usually a minimal amount of Hydras is a big expense for relatively little reward. You really want the economy to sustain Hydras and Lings, so you can throw them by the dozen in front and without risking too much. But here comes a Hellbat attack. Spirit does have a third command center, double medevac with just a few Marines inside, and the Hellbat's already Hydras on the way, and they're just as likely to get charbroiled as everything else in front. About to get hot and heavy at the third base is Spirit. Sure, he let it go eventually, but now he's coming with the Hellbats to burn it all down. Scans into the main, does not see a Spire. Might be a little concerned about that, but already picking up a potential Hellbat drop. And by potential, I mean kinetic at this point, boosting in towards the main. The drone's on the run. The Hydras will pop out. And now Spirit knows exactly which direction Reynor was going. But Reynor is not going anywhere particularly fast, as he just got unsupply blocked. Has a handful of Hydras, assuming you can fit 9 Hydras. Okay, well, how can I hold all these Hydras? 9 Hydras with range. He went for range first, which is usually the option if you're going to play more defensive. A Liberator sieging up. Reynor has so many drones and not enough places to put them. Is there a transfuse? But is that... Oh my. He just realizes maybe I could just target the Queen. 5 drones dead to the Liberator. And the Porcupine Terran. Titled that because he is a Turtle Terran. Spirit is the most notorious Turtle Terran in StarCraft 2 today. He is incredibly good at making sure you cannot kill him. But Turtling is just sitting back and letting you come to him. Spirit is very good at poking and prodding and getting an advantage and maybe following it up later. He's not limited, though. He's certainly bunkering down and anticipating a dramatic counterattack. He's not limited to just sitting back. It's just he's very good at putting himself in a position where it's incredibly prickly to deal with. So those porcupine, I'm going to stick with quills. All right, to follow up on my discussion with myself. Very cerebral and somewhat incestuous, but moving on. Jimmy, edit that out. But porcupine quills, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm sticking by that. Anyways, the bunker's coming up, anticipating potential Hydralisk counter, but the fact that he got his third base up untouched, the fact that Hydras have not already come across the map and started knocking on the door with their dramatic spines and claws, and a Contaminate on combat shield, which is going to be a surprising delay. The Overseer just kind of gliding through. We'll spot the entirety of this. It's looking very much like an Octo-Rex push out of Spirit. I mean, not just because he has 8 barracks, but more of an all-in timing. At least looking to get the damage done before Reynor gets to Hive. That's the target. Hive tech is when it becomes... Even if you have 200 supply of Marine tank, that might not be enough. Microbial Shroud. And it actually makes sense. Okay. Somebody call the bomb squad, because my mind is exploding right now. So Microbial Shroud is now Timu Dark Swarm. It costs 100 energy on the... I don't even know. It costs 100 energy on the Infestor, and when you cast it, it reduces all damage, all range damage in that area by 50%. Microbial Shroud used to only reduce damage from air to ground, and only weapon damage. So things like battle cruisers or carriers, I guess, technically were affected dramatically by it. The thing is, with Infestors, that energy is precious, and you have no way to regain it besides just sitting around looking pretty. And the Infestors are not known for their conventional attractiveness. Let's put it that way. But the Microbial Shroud will be done if there's enough Infestors for Fungal. Now, it works both ways. It's not limited to Zerg. Whoever's in the Shroud is going to take less damage from ranged attacks. Whether it's Marines fighting against Hydras, or Hydras fighting against Marines, or both. In which case, I assume both will take 50% less. We actually haven't seen it, I think, in a singular Zerg versus Terran game of high-profile players. At all. Partially because of the expense of the upgrade, and partially because Fungal is just so much more important. The overwhelming majority of the time. But Spirit, once again, fluffing out his quills. Like a porcupine crossed with a peacock, I guess, in this scenario. Just don't worry about it. He's got a bunch of tanks jammed into the center of the map. He has 89 Marines, and he has 2-2 upgrades about to complete. The huge Hydra Infestor flank. He's looking for an opportunity. He has to know he's going to get flanked here. The Infestors, one gets gunned down immediately. And you kind of have to be careful about where you use the Shroud as well. Trying to intercept the army. Throws out a Fungal. Will do so. The reinforcement's struggling. And so far hasn't really found an opportunity with that energy to use the Shroud. Another Fungal catches it in that... well, maybe? Unfortunately, the Terran army carving its way forward. A high-velocity pickaxe here. And the siege tanks behind it. The Marines getting caught up on the eggs at the moment, which have a ridiculous amount of armor. But the Hive is now complete. The reinforcements cut off. The Hydras, he's given up this base. He might lose the battle so we can maybe win the war. Adrenal glands on the way. +1 melee. It's not going to get much easier here. He goes down the center. Fungal thrown out. Another one. A huge hit. And now... the Infestor at the back throws out another Fungal, and despite upgrading Microbial Shroud, Reynor proving why it's almost entirely superfluous, and it was added just to appease those who are wondering why Microbial Shroud even existed. A question which persists to this day. Another question which is a lot more easy to answer and a lot less relevant to this current situation is, have you yet liked and subscribed? But I'm just asking questions. 1, have you done that? And 2, why does Microbial Shroud exist? Reynor cleans up the army. The Fungals hold it down. The Hydras knock it out. 97 Marines have been killed. The Marine tank push was shut down. But Reynor does not feel like he has the army to move across the map and challenge Spirit quite yet. And that means Spirit has been able to set up a planetary fortress. Reynor actually only has 69 drones, which is a nice baseline economy. But he's got a greater line of bases he has to contend with. The drops are headed out on either side. The creep spread is decent. Obviously cut off down the center where the Terran push came straight through, but now the drops on the left and a smaller one on the right. I was so excited. It felt like we might find a use case. But I think Reynor, even if he considered Microbial Shroud, which I'm not sure he remembers he built it, down goes another map. Even if he considered it, I don't think he wanted to run the risk it was used against him. That's part of the issue. It persists for, I believe, 11 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but also is so long. Just ask your mother. But a Knight is on the way. The Microbial Shroud could have easily turned against him mid-fight. A Fungal is much more reliable. Get over here! Sorry. Reynor keeps interrupting me by yanking the medevacs in and knocking him down. And so far, overwhelming victory on the field. Reynor has played against Spirit. If you remember, the longest StarCraft 2 game I've cast in probably the last 5 years. There's been longer games, but not since the Heart of the Swarm host era. Against Spirit, where it was well over an hour long. The minerals mined out half an hour before the game ended. But I forget if it ended in a draw or if Spirit won. You might have to go back and find it, and I don't even remember what the title was. Something clickbaity along those lines. There was Reynor versus Beyond earlier this year, but that was a paltry, like, 50 minutes. No, we're talking over an hour long, and Spirit refused to come out of his base, and Reynor simply couldn't get in. What I'm trying to say is, he's played against Spirit too many times to take any risks with a half-hearted attack. He has to put the whole Heart of the Swarm, and we'll see if the heart attack works out better for him or his opponent. But a Nidus on the left, the army on the right. Either way, Reynor's going to get some damage done, but the army supplies are dead even. Blinding Cloud on the siege tank, the only option nowadays. You can't abduct it with those Vipers anymore. The Blinding Cloud goes away. Hydras take out the tank. The Ghosts now on the field. The command center will evacuate a few SCVs. And the Hydra shouldn't be able to take it out. 84 Zerglings looking to refill. Another Nidus at the back. The Overseer looking for an opportunity. Lines up a shot. Doesn't take out the Overseer quite yet. But so far, Reynor clearly looking to bring down a sledgehammer and just amputate parts of the economy. He manages to get a few lurkers out. And that's how it starts. A few lurkers now, and then a dozen more later. The damage is already being done. He's stimming through, eviscerating the Marauders, cutting through the Marines. We'll get the Nidus. But back on the right side, here comes Reynor again. He's got the Vipers refilled for at least another couple Blinding Clouds. The Overseer out in front to make sure the Ghosts can't slip away with their cloaking devices. Lines up a volley of shots, lunges away, and cancels the snipes. And Spirit having more and more difficulty in getting this 5th base online, even as the 1st and 2nd bases dry up quickly. The income advantage has swung to the Italian Stallion, and he's ready to throw some more punches. Wow, he is playing... It's a pile driver right here. It's a jackhammer, Zerg. He's not looking to be subtle about it, but he's looking to just batter his way through. And every time Spirit looks to defend his base, Reynor is going to make it incredibly costly for him. He doesn't need to deny the base outright, but he needs to make it so expensive. I think this is the limit, though. As if Spirit gets another base, there's a chance that the Ghost and eventually maybe Liberator composition, he's scanning for Overseers, like, off the edge of the map that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. But a turret ring, high-sec auto-tracking. He's now pulling back into his shell. This is the Porcupine Terran. This is what he's so good at. For at least forcing this situation. But Reynor has done an incredible job of making it an uncomfortable one nonetheless. He now... Oh, he's doing the roguelike 20 overseers. The oversight committee coming together. With so many changelings, you don't know who's on your team and who's working against you. The Terran's always suspicious. And that knowledge is dangerous. Guard it wisely. A fusion core is on the way, but I seriously doubt we're going to be headed towards battle cruisers. Caduceus reactor, advanced ballistics, the kind of icing on the turtley cake or shell. Oh, that's worse. No, go back to cake. I didn't like that. Meanwhile, the overseers. So the changelings become so numerous, and it takes so much potential APM to take them out, that it becomes, it's almost impossible to reliably do so. There's an infestor underneath here. Somehow there's not a missile turret, though plenty more coming online. Reynor with a round of Banelings. Another wave of Changelings. Nidus worms all over the place. This is a straight-up campaign mission. And he's got quite an effort to break through. The artifact's peaking. Go Nova! No, wait a second. The planetary will be dismantled. The Overseer. A Nidus thrown out at the same time just to increase the stress level. But that Nidus is just a tactical Nidus in order to reposition between his bases more quickly. Reynor has been doing an incredible job of staying effectively even in cost efficiency. Which, considering so far, Reynor has mined 3,000 more minerals, which is not nearly as many as I thought it would have been. And 2,000 more gas is a good sign. A base in the bottom right. The infestors, hey, go! Was forced to unburrow for some reason or another. Some changelings over to the right. The turret line and the tank line behind it. But Reynor has 7,500 minerals. He built 20 overseers. Another coagulation of changelings. They didn't quite know what final form they were going to take, but even more. Hey, boys, you want a piece of meat, boys? Is that what we said? The changelings are slipping through. A bunch of marauders caught in front. The Zerglings will rip them apart. The siege tanks will help, and a Nidus in the back. The siege tanks in the main, but the lurkers are just diving on top. A scan, but the damage is being done, and he slices through all the tanks. He may incidentally kill the ghost as well. Not that it matters. Over to the right side. Overseers over the top. Banelings underneath. Planetary absolutely annihilated. Meanwhile, the lurkers are slicing through the infrastructure. Creep is covering the Ghost Academy. The armory was already taken down. A single ghost is cloaked in the midst of it all, and we'll see how long that lasts until it takes a lurker spine too far nearby. Reynor's still maxed out. He's still refilling. Spirit is dipping in supply, and he's losing the infrastructure to replace it. He takes out the Nidus worms, but a significant amount of these 16 ghosts are now over on the left side of the map. The changelings, almost enough to wall them in. I don't think Spirit noticed, but the main army, the ghosts, nowhere to be seen, and not because of their cloaking devices. Quarantine some medevacs. The Liberators will try to siege, but the parasitic bomb driving things away. The changelings incessant. Impossible to take them all out. He dropped a mule. Another Nidus in the main. The onslaught of Zerg continues. And if he doesn't stop this Nidus, it could be the end of him. He takes out the changelings. It's just Zerg. He puts a couple Zerglings in front. A clever move. And pops back into the Nidus before he can get sniped. Another Nidus will be shut down. But time is running short for Spirit before he gets spirited away. This is a rich Vespine base down the center. Reynor not taking advantage of it on the other side, but he has plenty of gas in the bank right now. The mules will drop. The stimulus check is coming in and might be able to cut into the mountain of income lead that Reynor has ground out for himself, at least temporarily. And the infestor is probably seething underneath seeing all this. Yeah, it draws the income nearly even, but it won't last. Reynor refilling. Spirit does have 121 supply. Moving the infestor into position. The overseers. Blinding cloud. Waiting for an opportunity to hit the ghosts. And there they are. The turret is slightly out of range. A Liberator finds a shot, knocks out one of the queens. Ghost looking for a volley, but this Infestor is in position to cut them all off. If Reynor remembers it exists, even then, the Banelings are finding plenty of damage. Another Nidus finds its way into the third. The Changelings continue their no. These aren't your Marine, Spirit. There's a small chance he looked back, thought they were his Marines, thought he was good to go, and now realized he very much isn't. He's just pulling him apart from the inside out. The Lurkers in a oh no! The Changelings are blocking him in! Oh my! The Changelings held him in! The Pacifists can be quite aggressive indeed! The Changelings funneled them into a gauntlet of Lurker spines. And they were impaled upon them. One Nidus goes out, one Nidus goes in. You can't explain that. Sounds a bit uncomfortable, but Spirit is trying to hold the front line, but the back line is falling apart. Another Nidus, more Changelings. Some of them timing out as Spirit has been unable to keep up with the onslaught. Another attack. The Infestor unburrows. A little bit late, but not so late it really matters. A parasitic bomb on the medevacs with the ghosts. One will be taken down. A single ghost survives. But Reynor may have broken his back in almost everything else. A surprisingly surgical battering ram will amputate one base after another. There's more Changelings, I think, almost than Marines. A drop attempted. The Queens. GG! Reynor with a masterclass in dismantling the Porcupine Terran. 17 Nidus Worms. The Changelings all over the place. 600 Zerglings. And one quite decisive victory at exactly 0 microbial shrouds. You know, I think the Infestor's doing just fine. The Fungals, more than enough of a threat to keep Spirit at bay at all times. And Reynor just let it. Spirit was quite convinced Reynor would counterattack. And that's the usual Reynor. All right? He almost always is looking for an opportunity to backstab with the links. That was such a uncharacteristic amount of patience. I think he was playing the player more than the matchup. He knows Spirit is just waiting for the opportunity to turtle. Okay, he's just putting himself out there so you can take a very cost and effective fight, and then he can build up the death ball before you have enough economy to break it. But Reynor did not take the bait, no matter how masterfully it was put together. Reynor never attacked until 200 supply, outright. He didn't attack until Hive Tech. He had everything he needed, and a tech advantage over Spirit, who was more focused on the mid-game and trying to bait out that counter. So, game... Command Center first, of course. Just gambling that Reynor won't go for an early pull. Pretty safe bet, to be fair. It's very unlikely Reynor's going to just throw a 12 pull or something in there against Terran. That's not even gambling. That's just, well, it's gambling, but probably outside of the game, to be honest. Yikes. And then... Wow, what a masterclass. I'm still, I mean, on one hand... I could be upset about Microbial Shroud being absolutely terrible. So, Microbial Shroud, it costs, I want to say it's 100, I don't know, 150, 150, 100, 100, it doesn't matter how much it costs. It requires an upgrade now. And any amount of resources. Which is already another, that limits your amount of Infestors in the first place. Didn't stop Reynor from having enough, but... And then from there, I mean, you still need fun. What? No, what are you talking about? You said fun gal! Sorry! Brenda. Sorry, blacked out for a moment. Microbial Shroud. Yeah. If it was on the Viper... Well, the Viper is already wearing so many hats. The Viper is the crowbar, even though they can't abduct siege tanks anymore, which is still in kind of an odd spot, but the Viper has a way to gain energy. So, Microbial Shroud is very similar and obviously reminiscent of Dark Swarm. Well, the Marines. 2 Zerglings can kill 1 Marine. The SCV pulled a surprisingly intense early micro to save that Overlord, but he will succeed. Try to hunt down the other one, gets a full scout, though the 3rd command center is far enough off that Reynor did not see it. Anyways. Sin, the Defiler. If you've watched any of the SC Evo matches, the SC Evolution Complete mod that combines StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 in StarCraft... Anyways, it's amazing, and you should check it out. Pro Games. You can probably find... I think it's Beyond versus Rogue with the Overlord. Scan. Give me the scan. Oh, wait, the Zergling! The Zergling! It's hunting! Oh, the Hellions are coming out. The chase is on! There will be blood. The stutter step? No! The Zergling gets revenge. The Overlord not taken out. It might be incinerated by the Hellions, but its job is done. Protecting that Overlord from... Well, it was probably fine at this stage, but... From the fire and the fury of the Hellions. But the Defiler could eat Zerglings to gain energy. I don't know if they were especially tasty. I don't think that's relevant. Well, or other units if you misclick. That's how the Defiler do. Back in the Brood War, all right, trying to click on the right unit was, one of these is not like the others. Was not the easiest thing. But the Infestor has no way to gain energy quickly, which means if you want to use multiple very high-cost spells, the Microbial Shroud being 100, and the Fungal being 75, you kind of just got to sit around, as I explained so eloquently last time. So, it's not the most ideal. And thus, I think we'll continue to see its very, if ever accidental... Well, we don't see it accidentally anymore because almost no one upgrades it. Before, some players would misclick it when it was the anti-air version. Very occasionally. And it was pretty obvious when. But either way, the Infestor is still an incredibly strong unit, and literally throughout the entire history of StarCraft 2 always has been slapped around with the Nerf bat more times than I can literally count. From Fungal no longer being a stun, to doing less damage, to having a projectile, to costing more energy. I don't know if that one's true, actually. It may have always been 75, but... and then infested Terrans existing, to not existing, to... and now Burrow. So Burrow move now, the Infestor has less vision than it did. This is not the newest patch, this was a couple ago, but you can't see quite as far. It was a little odd that the Infestor could see further underground than a Zergling could see above it. I'll give you that one. All right, I think that a unit that moves underground probably shouldn't have quite that level of vision. Like a little periscope or something. Maybe it should stick up above the ground instead of just having the worm sign. But I digress. Well, not really, but... Anyways, Banshees. So far, just the duel between the Zerglings and the Marines, but the Banshee's gonna open up some damage. 4 kills so far. There are spores, but they're more of a deterrent than actually anything to deal with the Banshees directly. And if they're a little off-center, that leaves plenty of real estate for the Banshees to take advantage of. 8 kills in the first flyby. And the damage isn't quite done yet. The Queens. A beautiful matrix map here. The Queen. Oh, wait, 2 Queens can beat. Oh, this is restricted lair space. Get. You know, that was very close, Brenda. Oh, close counts, Susan. It counts. Can you count? Do I need to? It would probably help. You can count on me, Susan. That was wholesome, yet not helpful, Brenda. Sorry. Spirit putting together his bulwark base here. The bunker ensconced by 3 supply depots to minimize. Now, Banelings could crash right through, but that funnels the Zerglings into potentially deadly killing zones. Spirit has, with 13 kills on the Banshees, opened up a real opportunity to keep Reynor limited. Especially with the Hellions getting some freebies here, though getting a bit distracted because of the huge Zergling counter. 1-1 upgrades for either side means that the Marines on the open field will be torn apart. But once they retreat back with their backs to the siege tank, they got a little more opportunity, and now the Queen's caught in front. Siege tanks unleashing some volleys. Reynor actually down 20 supply. A 69 SCV timing attack coming out from Spirit, giving him a very nice economy to continue this, as long as Reynor isn't able to get to Hive. His Hive is 80% of the way done, but it's a long way from being delivered. He needs it desperately to deal with this attack cost effectively, but he's going to have to settle for what he can get. He has to decide, is this base worth it to the north? Some of the drones already running off to the side, realizing the hatchery's already gone, and he has to cut his losses as best he can. +2 Carapace will actually be done for Reynor before Spirit. Wait, can you drop a tank in there? Ugh. I'm pretty sure you can hit it with Zerglings, but it's a near thing. The Banelings trying to roll in, getting dangerously close. The Marines, not so great so far. A double drop shut down. The Marines evaporated by the Banes. Adrenal Glands is on the way. Losing the spawning pool at this time would actually be critical damage, but neither player looking at the drop in the main because they're so worried about the Marines at the third. More drones will die. Spirit. Finally, the Queens come back to deal with it before Spirit realizes. Drives everything away for now. Heavy losses on either side. Pretty heavy losses. The fact that Spirit is currently up 194 to 166 supply, the numbers don't lie, and they potentially spell disaster for Reynor. He has the +2 Carapace upgrade advantage, but he has so few units to use it with. He's gonna wrap around with the creep, though. The Banelings rolling in. The siege tanks overrun. The Hellbat body blocking. This is disgusting. That positioning. Oh, the Zerglings funneled into such a killing zone. The siege tank will eventually go down, but the drop on the right side, there just isn't enough to go around. And Reynor will lose a hatchery and a whole lot of his Zerglings. He still has the drones, but he's running out of options to mine from. The Vipers are slurping out of the evolution chamber that is currently upgrading +3 Carapace. Reinforcements are on the way for Spirit as he flies across with the Medivacs. Far too dangerous to walk with Reynor. Adrenal Glands and 2-2 are done. The Zerglings are a real threat. The Banshee, not so much anymore as the Queens finally get the second one, but a drop in the main with whatever was left over. The Marines doing a great job of keeping control of the situation. We'll knock out an extractor, working on some of the Zerglings. We'll have to be driven back for now, but the 4th base down the center in a planetary fortress could really hold things down. Considering Reynor right now has about as many Zerglings as Spirit has Marines, that does not bode well, especially considering the upgrade advantage will, sooner rather than later, go to Spirit entirely. He does not have a Lurker Den. He doesn't have an Ultralisk Cavern. It's just Lings, Banes. In fact, he doesn't have a Hydralisk Den. It's just Lings and Banes and Vipers to do whatever he can. And the creep is being pushed back. The hatcheries have been knocked out. Spirit is keeping so much pressure on, and there's no real light at the end of the tunnel right now for Reynor. If he can burrow his way through, he might come out the other side, but right now, it's looking desperate, to say the least. The Vipers. Full energy. The Vipers are required. The Vipers are needed, and one of the Vipers taking critical damage, but the Banelings come to protect him. He's trying to buy as much time as possible. Spirit is maxed out with money in the bank. The roles are reversed from the previous game. He cannot lose another hatchery. The Queen is gunned down. The Banelings will crash through. A huge Zergling counter. A desperate move. But he'll go for it. If he can get the engineering base, he can buy himself a lot of time here. The supply depots will drop. and repair the depots back to full. What a save! But he goes through the +3 armor engineering bay, buys himself a few more seconds. The upgrade advantage no longer will be just some marauders in the front, parasitic bombs. He abandons the hatchery. The +3 engineering bay. He could get the weapon upgrades as well. Spirit still has plenty of supply depots in the form of command centers. +3 infantry weapons is denied. Exactly what Reynor needed to have some sort of parity on the field, some option to actually get an advantage. And now between the Vipers and the +3 Carapace, he'll actually be ahead on upgrades and tech simultaneously. Spirit has been stalled. He's been undercut. But the Terran army still has so much momentum. He almost kills the evolution chamber, but he doesn't quite get it. Parasitic bomb. A premium opportunity. But the Zerglings overrun the tanks on the field. He just settles for getting one. Another disgusting tank position from the Porcupine Terran. But the parasitic bombs over the field and the blinding clouds on the ground will make sure that there's not much else to deal with it. A couple Marines almost picking off the Vipers. If he gets the Evo chamber. Looking at the Viper, the Queen, and Spirit missing some of these opportunities, but a Venn diagram of freedom from the Liberators takes out 5 of the drones. No, 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 no! Ooh. I have spoken. I wish I didn't, but I did. He yanks one of the Liberators away, and Reynor survives. He wins the battle. But the war? Spirit is at 200 supply. He has a Ghost Academy. No ghosts. 1 ghosts. 1 more than Blizzard. Another hatchery pops up, and Spirit is already here to put it right back down. The Baneling nest was taken out at the 3rd. He has to restart it. Eventually, those 3... Well, he just started +3 again. Spirit realizing he lost the upgrades. And that gives the Zerglings a uniquely advantageous position. He tore down the wall earlier and can easily get in through the natural, but at the same time, the Vipers at point-blank range. Parasitic bomb, Banelings rolling through, the hatchery taken down, and everything underneath, but 4 more infestors on the way. The Zerglings giving him the runaround. Reynor doing absolutely everything he can to claw his way back into this in the most literal sense. Ooh, rough sentence. But Spirit is maintaining that supply. He just needs to not lose, not the game, obviously, but the core of his army. If he can keep, and it's so hard for the Vipers to deal with the air and the ground. That's what the infestors are for. The 2 flimsy yet inordinately important spellcasters for Zerg. Both made out of essentially the skin of a rotten tomato and a bunch of Terran tears, it feels like sometimes. And have the survivability of a particularly suicidal toddler. It's just a toddler thing, all right? Jimmy, edit that out. That could be misconstrued. Or construed correctly. Both are bad. I don't... But, oh no. The Fleet Beacon, Fusion Core is on the way and 2 more starports. Spirit may, and could, and I think will, go for the battle cruisers. There is no anti-air. He's been working off of shoelaces and bubblegum here with the Vipers and the Queens in order to at least deflect and destroy some of the Liberators and some of the medevacs. And you simply, like, Reynor has the money now. He's actually been able to scrape his way back. Spirit, a porcupine not known for its killer instinct, but instead its inability to die, and Spirit in the unique position of being far ahead economically, but unable to get the killing blow. Loses another couple medevacs. I believe so. Over to the left side. It's so hard to deal with this for Reynor. He desperately needs a Spire. He needs it. There's no way he's going to deal with this in the long run, but in the short run, the Zerglings demonstrating the efficiency of that bunker positioning. but eventually ripping it apart. A planetary fortress will be lifted at the last moment. More SCVs take it out, but I fear it may just free up supply for army at this stage. A nuclear missile and Spirit with 6 Liberators on the way at a time. No, not bothering with the battle cruisers. It's Liberation Day. The Terran campaign for victory has begun. Some Zerglings will burrow. Reynor has done. He's made such a titanic effort to get this far. And you know, if he wins one more fight, Spirit has actually lost more resources. Spirit has also mined 3,000 more minerals and 5,000 more gas. But he can't seem to kill Reynor. He's knocked out 6 hatcheries. He's knocked him down to 60 drones. In fact, I think it was lower than that, but Reynor shored it up a bit. There's a forward turret, a split second away from revealing the infestor nearly underneath it. Nuclear launch detected. Reynor, I assume Reynor's picked it out. Oh, yeah. The nuke has a surprisingly small radius. A couple drones transferring at the wrong time. Meanwhile, this is cover for the creeping barrage here. The double siege. Huge Ling Bang counter. And that much acid easily counters a base. Meanwhile, the Zerglings in the third. The Zerglings through the natural. The armies all across the map. The Liberators will eventually pincushion the Zerglings. One by one, bringing them down. But they may be able to get through into the main. Another hatchery falls. Another Liberator dragged out. And again, Reynor commits everything to the counterattack, but the sheer Liberator count is eventually able to plink its way through the Zerglings. And how do you deal? There's 144 Zerglings. And no matter how many wings they have, how do you deal with 15 Liberators? Poorly. Is there Neural Parasite? No. Parasitic Bomb? These Liberators are really shoved in. Really? A vault? If he gets another oh, it's so close. He quarantines at the last moment. The fungal. But the amount of energy being spent mentally and physically and emotionally here. The Marines in the main. The Marines outside the front. The Liberators overhead. The Lings and Banes are rolling through. Yet Spirit... He ground out so much momentum, and Reynor has put in so much effort to bring it back. But I don't know if there was any realistic way to ever make it far enough. Being down that much economy and that much tech, he still got closer than pretty much anyone else I think could. And probably closer than he ever should have. But now Spirit, he's got the Liberators, he's got the Ghosts. Even if all of his bases and SCVs spontaneously imploded, as long as he had one barracks floating in the corner. Eventually, finally, Reynor got the Spire. He was inspired too through the unchecked efforts of the Liberators. But it's too little. And it's far too late. The Vipers, how many kills? Like, the fact that Vipers have a kill count at all. Like, Parasitic Bomb on the Liberators. The Fungals Wombo! It doesn't get any better. He loses a Liberator to the... I mean, he loses the Vipers to the Liberators. Almost kills off the Medivacs with everyone inside. Like... It can't get... Is he even mining? The Vipers are... Oh, this... Like and subscribe for existential dread. The tanks will see. GG! Reynor, I feel like you have to... Like, that's an intentional effort. To put a lowercase and uppercase G. Just more appropriate would be italicized, but that was probably harder to pull off. Spirit. The Porcupine Terran puts a quill through Reynor's bases and cripples him enough. It was still obscenely close. Like, Reynor, if he was able to find space or find an opportunity for a Spire a couple minutes earlier, there is a far greater than 0 chance that he drags that back all the way. But it was such a hill to climb, repeatedly, with Lings and Banes up against Liberators and Bunkers and Siege Tanks. And he still made it. But he wasn't able to hold it. What an effort out of Reynor. But not to take credit away from Spirit, who ground out that lead early. An incredibly well-executed timing, taking full advantage of Reynor getting a little greedy. When you skip Hydras, when you skip a Spire in the mid-game, you're looking to get that Hive Tech online and then fill in what you need. But a well-placed and a well-executed Marine Tank timing, that is a mid-game timing attack against a late-game rush. When they go for that level of tech, you should have a better army, and you should be able to get at least some damage done. And Spirit managed to do so. You could see the clear struggle to actually finish the game out, especially because the Hive Tech had finally come online. But those counterattacks, getting the double, the fact that he put the engineering bays in the wall set himself up for that potential failure. I don't think he expected to lose them, obviously. You put them there to make it hard to break through, not as a serious risk, but Reynor has a way of slipping in with those Zerglings and creating ungodly and infuriating amounts of havoc. I feel like Spirit was torn between thinking he should have already won the game and fully turtling. He never fully committed to the turtle. He was always sending units out. And that may have been doing more harm than good after a point. I mean, it worked out. The results speak for themselves. But that allowed Reynor to get those unlikely fights / catches that he probably wouldn't have otherwise. Yes. Otherwise. Either way. Eitherwise. Hashtag wisdom. Like and subscribe for more wisdoms. You can find me speaking great wisdoms on my Dronely fans on Patreon. After you, I already said like and subscribe, so if you just keep repeating it, it makes it just gotta keep. It's like Coca-Cola, all right? You know Coca-Cola. You know why? Because they never shut up about Coca-Cola existing. The real the key to advertising is saturation, much like mineral lines. Just keeping it in your head for long enough that you've already liked and subscribed when you clicked on the video. And now you're on game 3. You're either asleep, in which case, good night, or you're awake and paid attention. You're like, this nerd is calling me out. Yet I'm 48 minutes into the video. No, Winter, I skipped through in order to spoil myself. Well, gross. Okay? Gross. You just happened to skip through. Okay. Is that a brag? Is this a brag? I'm the one with the microphone. Stop arguing with me. This calls for some introspection. But not today. Today, it's going to be a triple command center with a command center first into a 1-1-1. Some variation on the long-forgotten Destiny Cloud Fist build. Who knows what that may have been from, but the barracks, the factory, the starport. We already saw the delayed Banshee is actually getting probably more damage than a normal fast as possible Banshee timing. You see that a lot at the pro level where, I mean, and it took 3 games for those counting. Hero, the master of unmastered builds. He'll take every timing. You have some idea, you have some expectation, and subvert it. Not even necessarily through intent, but just through instinct. He knows. Just to throw you off. Or even himself. Put himself in a unique scenario where he has to micro his way out and somehow do so. But pro gamers, especially the ones who really solid macro players, like Reynor and Spirit to an extent, like real ladder grinders, will have at the same time an instinctual knowledge of when something should happen. Okay? I'm sure they could tell you the time if they needed to, but personally, I don't even think about the time when I need to make the spore. The spore is after you make your second round of queens. Okay, you get as many drones as possible, you get your second round of queens, should have 6 queens, and then at that time, if you need spores, you're building spores. Because that should be right around the 4-4-15 mark. And depending on whether they go command center first or one ranks expand, in this case, command center first, you got your spore. But you tie it into other things, so that way there's not as many points of failure. Because if one thing goes wrong, you still got other things to connect it to. That's why I say like and subscribe, not like or subscribe. Okay, that's enough. But it looks like we got another full rush to Hive. This time around, Spirit did not even bother with going, Sir, this is private property. All right, by order of the Hatchery Owners Association. Brenda, just let him fly away. Fly? In this economy? Susan? Remember when we could... Sorry, I am blacked out for 3 hatcheries on the way. One just finished up, but Reynor with everything. Okay, the Buddha build right here. Make me 1 with everything in the build. Hive, +1, melee and carapace, infestation pit. Okay, really? That was completely inaccurate. The joke was good, but it doesn't fit here because Reynor's tech tree looks more like a stump. He's got lings and banes and a hive growing out of it. That's it. That's literally it. It is the opposite of everything. It is literally 2 things. And even then, it's just an evolution of one of them. We are really off track today. But they don't attack each... Look, they're 2 Zerglings and an Overlord. It's been 6.5 minutes. Well, it's going to be... It's an 8-Rex. You can tell by the sheer amount going on in the base, looking like a 4X game here. But no. Just mass marine production. Going to try to hit that timing again. This time, Reynor not splurging on Microbial Shroud, but instead just popping the Infestors out. Going to try to hold against a very strong mid-game timing. Now, the Zerg rocks have yet to be taken down. The Zerg rocks actually won't bleed out because Reynor is... That's Reynor's creep. So they won't heal, but they won't bleed out like they normally do at the 8-minute mark. They get dehydrated off a creep. That's how it works. You know, like rocks do. The Ultralisk Cavern at 7.5 minutes on the way. About as quick as it could be in a reasonable fashion. Maybe not. It's up there. It is nearly the fastest Ultralisk rush you could reasonably do without completely sacrificing your economy and gambling it all on the unit that you really shouldn't. The Marines... Wow, Spirit is completely all in. He did not build an armory. He did not pass go. He will not collect 2-2 upgrades. He is banking on this dozens of Marine timing hitting so hard. But I feel like one Ultralisk, one Big Daddy Lisk, one El Chapo Lisk with chitinous plating might be enough to break it all open. Let alone a Viper. Spirit is taking his sweet time here. The Zerglings, though, constantly counterattacking. Spirit has the army supply. 2 Ultras in production. The Carapace upgrade. The tanks moving up onto the creep. The Ultras haven't popped out yet. There are Infestors. He's going to lose the Evo Chamber. It all comes down to this. 100 Zerglings on the other side of the map. The infestation pit is taken down. Spirit's reinforcements completely cut off. That tank spread, I can't believe it's not butter. But the creep will be there. The Ultras are popping out. Chitinous plating isn't quite done yet. He slices through the Natchery. He's working on another base. The drop is optimistic. A Ghost Academy behind it. Chitin is plating. 15 seconds off. The timer's ticking down. A few siege tanks left behind. The Queens, the Infestors, the Hero-less. He's going to use Raider's own main base. But I think 2 Ultras with chitinous plating might be enough to break through. The Queens patching them up as fast as they can. The Infestors holding down the Marines. And the Ultras are chopping through. Spirit eviscerated on the blades of the Ultralisks. I don't know what he expected, but he dug far too deep and far too greedily. And he was punished for it. They are coming. We cannot get out. Except by speed-boosted medevac, and even then we have much of a story to tell. He's going to try to recover. He's got ghosts in production back at home. He starts an armory. But he sacrificed tomorrow for today. And it's getting dark. The Liberators, the tanks, trying to set up some sort of position to hold. But I doubt it. The Ultras cleaving through. The Infestors holding him down. The Zerglings are inside the house, and I doubt they're ever going to be cleaned out. Gee! Spirit. Cloven in twain by the Ultras. The Hero-less able to power through, and Reynor with a decisive victory to bookend the series. He was slowed down and eventually picked apart in Game 2, but Game 1 and Game 3, the Sledgehammer Zerg battered down every bit of Terran in its way and eventually overran the field. How long it took? That was the only differing factor. But the Ultralisk to shut the door on Spirit in the Wardi 2025 championships, at least at this stage. And we'll see if they get any further. But thank you for watching. Make sure to check out throughout at least the next week or so Wardi's 2025 championship. Of course, we're going to bring you the highlights, but Wardi brings you so much more. I really do appreciate it, so you should really check them out if you got the opportunity. Otherwise, if you got the means and motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon, YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. Hyping as well, if that ever means anything. Still don't know. Thank you to our mule tier patrons bringing in the extra minerals. Spirit could have used it. Big Jiggy, Devin, Door, Kate, Mario Suit. Go ahead, just still enjoy. And make sure to check out this video that Jimmy picked out just for you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Congratulations to Reynor. And stay chill.